The closure of Scotland's last oil refinery means that all fuel needed in the country will now have to be imported. An aerospace engineer from Dumfries has told this programme that Grangemouth is perfectly placed to provide low-carbon alternatives to the aviation industry. Our reporter Kieran McFadgen spoke to Finlay Asher from the Green campaign group Safe Landing. He began by asking him what the impact will be on the sector.
So it won't have an impact today. We will import jet fuel from all around the world. What it'll mean is we'll lose a sort of local production of jet fuel. I mean, Grangemouth supplies jet fuel to Glasgow Airport, Edinburgh, Aberdeen and Newcastle. So it's more about really the future of aviation fuel, because it's actually very well placed, because it makes jet fuel today, to actually produce the aviation fuels and other fuels of the future. If we don't, we have to look elsewhere. It shows that we don't have a proper industrial strategy in the UK for making these fuels ourselves. That's not great for energy security, being kind of at the mercy of tariffs or just prices imposed by other countries, and also means that we can't demonstrate that we can actually produce these fuels, which are vital for the future of the aviation sector and our sustainability targets.
How significant is Grangemouth's closure in the fight for jobs and the country's just transition?
Well, it's pretty massive. I mean, apparently Grangemouth accounts for about 8% of manufacturing in Scotland, so it's pretty significant. It's very similar actually to, we've seen Port Talbot and Scunthorpe, the steelworks there close. Big, massive production sites in the UK, all owned by large multinational companies. We haven't had a proper strategy for the steel industry or aviation or fuels, and this has meant that we've just sort of let these companies run their assets out. They want to close, and there isn't a proper strategy for what's going to happen next.
So there's several plans for the future of the refinery, including turning it into a facility for sustainable aviation fuel. Is that feasible?
So it's very feasible. When you look at aviation fuel, something that's really important to understand is there's lots of different varieties. Some of those are much more sustainable or viable than others. Another important thing though is they also need very similar inputs. So we know that there's some no-brainers. We definitely need more renewable energy, things like offshore wind, and Grangemouth is really well placed, in the kind of northeast corner of Scotland where there's lots of North Sea oil previously, but offshore wind in the future. So we know that we can get on and build those things. We also know that we need to produce green hydrogen, whether we're producing green steel, fertiliser or aviation or shipping fuels, we need those things. So we can start with the building blocks, and as we go and as we test the true sustainability and the true scalability of some of this stuff, we can then make decisions. But we could definitely get underway building things and creating jobs for the workforce and community in that area immediately.
What about timescales? Just how far off is this for them to produce low-carbon airplane fuel? Surely there would need to be regulations that aren't in place yet.
The government has a target for aviation. It wants to have 10% alternative fuels by 2030. It's completely off those targets. At the moment, globally, we only produce 0.3%, so it's a minuscule amount compared to what we need in just 5 years. And it takes more than that amount of time to build a refinery and get it running. So there's massive concern in the sector that we don't have the time to meet those targets, just what's already mandated. So it's really likely that we will import it from elsewhere and we'll just miss our targets, and that will put into question the whole sustainability strategy of aviation.
So both the UK and Scottish Government have put a lot of money into this site. It's been heavily invested in. Just how confident are you this transition will work?
Well, at the moment, it's still very up in the air where we're going to go. What I'd say is the government have very much left it in the hands of a private company that owns the site, the very one that sort of let it just close and run into nothing. So what we need is a really clear strategy from the government that sets out exactly which fuels will be produced and why, and actually take some onus themselves. At the moment, we've got lots of options and we're not down selecting. So we need to take more ownership as a country, as a government, about what the future of these sectors is going to be, and then get on with it as soon as possible.
Finlay Asher, thank you.
Thanks.